here, his name was Henrique Borges, and that's why we are called ourselves H.M. Borges. He started the company in 1877, and when he started, he was essentially a reseller. He bought wine that was ready and then resold it. That's how the company started. But later on, the company wanted to expand, but where the company was, which was near the marketplace here in Funchal, did not have enough space to start producing, bottling, aging the wine. So in 1924, we came to this building. We are here 99 years now. This was done during the second generation, actually, because we are still family-owned. We are currently in our fourth generation, and is run by two cousins, Isabel and Helena Borges, which are great-granddaughters of Henrique Borges. You can see in these pictures, here are building, and you can see some bags in the inside. This was because this actually used to be a cereal mill. That's why you have the bags for the cereals. But we changed the interior to put the barrels, which needed space. This is because the upper two levels are full of barrels. The exterior, still the same. Over here we have some images, some historical images from the harvest season, which typically occurs on the last week of August, first week of September, but this year was sooner. We're talking about mid-August, and first week of September it all ended because we had a very warm summer, very warm weather, actually the whole year when we're still feeling it. We have a lot of humidity also. So here, this year all of it was very soon, very quick. A few years ago we would have harvest seasons until October. And now it's early September, and it depends on the area. Inside I will explain where the grapes come from and the areas. So you have here, you can see that the men are underneath the vineyards. They are picking the grapes underneath. And the reason why is that here in Madeira we use a system called lapada or pergola. So essentially we utilize as much as we can the ground. So we build sucalcos. Sucalcos are like those steps that you see along the coast, because we do not have space for big fields or vineyards. So we have sucalcos. And then we go upwards and then down the hill using those sucalcos, those steps. We use this kind of method, not only for the vineyards, but anything regarding to agriculture, we use this system, especially banana trees and sugarcane. So you have the man. This is all hand-picked. Still, until today, it's all hand-picked because the fields are sometimes very narrow, so you cannot have any kind of machinery. All of it is hand-picked. And it's small plots of land, usually family-owned, and the families come together and pick the grapes. Next to the vineyard was usually the press, lagar. So what this was, it was because if the grapes came to the companies, it would start the fermentation process. So what we did is that's all rotting on the way to the companies, because the fields are outside of Funchal, and back then the companies were usually in city center. So what they did is that we pressed the grapes and then have these men, and you can see here in color, these men are called borracheiros, and on their back is a bag that is called borracho. So what this is actually animal skin that was dried up to contain liquids inside. And they would go back and forth until all of the juices from the grapes that were pressed came to the companies. So they were going always back and forth. Because back then they did not have the means of transport or the roads that we have today. So they would do this manual labor. So that's how we used to do it. Nowadays it's simpler, less harder. So essentially the grapes come, they bring in plastic bins, not as beautiful as the liquor baskets. So in plastic bins, and we start the process here. So we do the whole process here in these facilities. We do not have any more facilities outside of these in the city center. Then we have the warehouses also here in Funchal. Here are our warehouse, filling in the barrels, animals helping with transporting the barrels, especially mules and ox. But it is the transport in the ships that started Madeira wine. Madeira wine was actually a happy coincidence was because on the early days they would send the wine on the ships and they would add alcohol, so essentially they fortified the wine so that the wine would not turn to vinegar. And so they learned that the wine that was neither drank or sold along the way and came back was better. And companies wanted their wines to have these properties, these better aromas and flavors, so they started sending the wines on purpose to the ships, especially because they would go through the Ecuador, along the coast of Africa, India, so these very, very warm places, because they thought it was the combination of the heat and the movement of the waves of the ships that gave the properties. So the wine went on trips, giving the name of round-trip wine, vinho de roda, the wine that went and came back. So this is how Madeira wine started. But as you might think, sending the wines only on trips was not very cost-effective. There were shipwrecks, sailors would drink the wine, so less that came back, and they needed a way to improve the wine so that the wine had the same properties, but with less costs. And they soon found out it was not exactly the combination, but the heat itself that gave the properties. So they started putting the wines in warm places. So that's why I said that in the upper two levels we have barrels, because the warmest place in a house is under the rooftops, and that's where we have under this side, and on the back where we will visit, we will also see. And today is a warm day. I think back there will be also very warm today. In the morning, not as much, but I think it will be a little bit warmer. But we will film what the wine's feeling.
Yeah.
More images from our building, essentially the same, but with less lettering. Here we have a letter from Mr. Winston Churchill when he was here in 1950 and during his stay at the Leeds Hotel. The company sent him a box of wine, and this is his thank you letter for that wine that was sent. Unfortunately, we never registered 1960 here. And here we have represented the winemaking process. This was done in 1933, these paintings, and you have here the harvest with the wicker baskets and the lagai, the cress, the borracheiros carrying the flash on their backs. You can also see our logo in the barrel, so a little bit of history, art, and wine and fish. Let's go inside a little bit. Please be careful with this.
It smells good.
So over here we're smelling in the air. These are what we call the satin wood vats, cetim do Brasil. It is a wood that came from Brazil, and these are essentially containers. This wood does not give any aromas or flavors to the wine. It simply contains the wine, same as the stainless steel. But 99 years ago, wood is all that we had, so that's why we built these. This is also the reason why we could expand the company, because we now have storage units. And as I said, these have 99 years. We have 8 of them in total, and they contain between 24 and 26,000 liters each of them. We usually store it inside the younger wines, the 3-year-old wines, because those are the ones that we have more demand, and since these are bigger, and the wine inside is ready to be bottled, so it's essentially done and ready for the bottling process. We do not own any grapes. At the moment we use 5 types of grapes, which are here. You can see them. Being the first one, Tinta Negra. Tinta Negra is a very versatile grape, because with one grape we can produce the 4 styles: dry, medium sweet, and sweet. And how we produce with only one grape 4 styles is that we stop fermentation by adding that alcohol, so the fortification process. We add alcohol, which is 96% volume, very strong, almost pure alcohol with nothing added, so almost pure alcohol. And we stop fermentation depending on the style. style. If we want a sweet style, we stop fermentation at about the second day because there are more sugars in the wine. If we want a dry style of wine, we leave it to the last day, about the 7th day, because there are less sugars. For each style, we have a specific quantity of sugars that each style can have. This is set by law, so we have a legislation that we need to follow, and each style has a limit. Then we have here Funchal that does a medium sweet, and Madeira does a sweet kind of wine. You saw that Tinta Negra is a red grape and the others are white, but Madeira wine is neither red or white. It ranges from a golden color, golden hue, to a dark brown color. And the color depends on the style, because the Social, the dry style, is usually the clearest golden color, while the Madeira is the darkest one. This is because of the oxidation and caramelization. So the oxidation of the wine gives a golden color, that gives microclimates to Madeira. And usually the south side has more sun exposure than the north side. And the grapes on the south side are usually the sweeter styles, while in the north is the drier style. Because more sun exposure, the sweeter the grapes. And these are closer to the sea, while in the north they are more in the mountains. They can be up to 800 meters high. And a characteristic for every kind of grape is so over here is one of our warehouses, as I talked about. This is one of our oldest, but we do not have the oldest wines here. And the reason being that we usually put the youngest wines in our most heated areas. It's actually fresh today, since it rained in the morning. But this is what we call a canteiro. Canteiro comes from the wood beam that supports the barrels. So, and they have almost this triangle shape, so the oxygen can circulate around the barrels. And we use American and French oak to produce our barrels. And we reuse the barrels. We have about 850 barrels, 820 barrels, and some of them since the first generation. Because Madeira wine loves old wood. It does not like the tannins of younger wood. That's why we keep reusing the barrels. And inside the barrels, they can be kept a long time. But the minimum age is 3 years. You will not see a Madeira wine younger than 3 years. But you can see a Madeira wine that can be 50 to 50, 70, 60, as many as it can be inside. Because what happens is with the heat, there is evaporation and oxidation. Evaporation because we are in a warm place and it's normal to have evaporation, but with Madeira wine it's a little bit more than the normal wines because we have about 2% per year. And what happens is with this evaporation, the wine, what evaporates is the water, the wine has contact with the oxygen, so it oxidizes, it oxidizes, so giving those colors, those brownish colors. And with the oxidation, there is actually a good thing, is that when you buy a bottle of Madeira wine and you open that bottle, since it's already oxidized inside the barrel, you can keep it a long time open. So if you're going to buy a bottle that's a little bit more expensive, you don't need to drink it all in one setting, all in one at the same day. You can keep it up to 1.5 years. So if stored in the right conditions. Also, it can last a lifetime inside that bottle. What we do recommend is that changing the cork every 20 years. That's why when you hear about Madeira, some people have a bottle of Madeira wine 30 years and the wine is still good because it's stored in the right condition. But when we mean storage in the right condition is always and different years of harvest, giving us average ages that range between 3 years that can be up to 50 plus years. So it's 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 and 50 plus. So imagine you have a 10-year-old Social. It means that we blended younger and older harvest years, giving that average year of 10 of the Social. But with the 50 plus years, what happens is that, for instance, Behind you, you have all of these glass containers. These are called demi-jones. And inside of them, it contains 80-year-old social. When we decide to bottle this wine, it will say 50 plus years. This is because our legislation allows us only to put 50 plus in the label. But the wine is obviously over 50. But our legislation, since it only allows us that, it will say 50 plus social. And the reason why we have these, whenever you see that the wine is made from contemporary process, it simply means that it was aged inside barrels. We use, all of our noble grapes are aged in this method, and part of Tinta Negra. But part of Tinta Negra is aged in another way, which we will see here. The other method is inside these cylinders. These are called stufas, and sorry, no translation. Stufas, and during 90 days, at the temperature of 45 degrees Celsius, the wine is heated. We always use heat in aging our wines, but this is a mechanical way of aging our wines. We only use this with Tinta Negra in for our younger blends, the 3- and 5-year-old blends, because we have more demand for the younger wines, and it's simply impossible to have all of our wines aged inside the wood. We would love to, but we don't have enough space, and since the demand is higher, we do this method. Also because our legislation allows us, so we do it. And after the 90 days, the wine has a cooling off period of about a month, and then it goes to stainless steel, where it needs to wait at least 3 years. This method gives an approximate aging of 3 years, but still we need to wait those 3 years to bottle this wine. That's why I say minimum age is always 3 years. Our wines are most for exportation. About 85% of all of our production is for exportation. We export mainly to European countries, but we also export to United States of America, United Kingdom, China, Japan, Brazil, and that's not it. But most of it European country. Let's go over. When we started the tour, you were hearing our bottlings, and you were seeing. And this is because we have an order. We only bottle wine when we have orders, because our warehouses are prepared for aging the wine, so they are very warm. Once in the bottle, as I said, the wine does not do good, so it needs cool place. So we bottle the wine, and we ship the wine. We will then here. Já acabou, acabaram de encher. Ah, vai para público. I thought they'd finished, but they are actually changing the wine. And this machine over here puts this seal on top. This is a seal that guarantees that this is an authentic Madeira wine. It has this serial number over here, and this serial number is unique for this bottle. Each bottle has a unique serial number. And if you buy a bottle without a seal, it either means that it's a very, very old Madeira wine or isn't a Madeira wine. Madeira wine, to be considered a Madeira wine, can only be bottled in Madeira. We can only export inside the bottle. To be exported in bulk, you would need to add spices, either salt or pepper, so that it can only be used in cooking purposes. Especially to France, they use a lot of Madeira in their sauces. That's why some companies, we do not do that, but then we do it as soon as we have orders. These are special ones. So it's a cooler place in this area. But the rest, as you can see here, we have full of them.
Poczekaj.
This is also a meeting area with clients, private groups. The 86 we only did 500 units, and the 93 we did 100, 1000, and 5. Style. So this is made from estufagem process, so the heated process of 45 degrees Celsius during 90 days. Next one will be also a hidden name, but this one is the 2013 in a medium dry style, 9 years old, bottled last year. From Borges. Method of the 2013 and this Borges is the same, content process. The only estufagem process will be the first one, the 5-year-old one. Next one is a Funchal, 15 years old. Funchal does the medium sweet style. The next one is the 1993 Social. This was what we last year, 2022, and this is 29 years old.
Okay. It smells good.
The sweet Madeira, 20 years. We leave it this one last because it's the sweetest wine.
It's the darkest one. Thank you so much. It smells what? Okay. It smells good.